You probably don't think twice about tossing an onion into a frying pan. But that everyday, incredibly basic vegetable is actually at the center of this highly fragile global web.
Yeah, a web involving seed monopolies, extreme climate sensitivity, and, well, even human trafficking.
Right. It really shatters that whole, simple farm-to-table illusion the moment you actually look at the supply chain.
Absolutely.
So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a couple of fascinating sources today. We've got an MDPI review on South Korean onion production, alongside an impactful ninja report on the sustainability of eating onions.
And our mission here is to reveal why this simple kitchen staple is both an environmental superstar and, frankly, a highly vulnerable global commodity.
Exactly. And why understanding its journey might just change how you shop for your food.
So let's start with the environmental side, because onions actually rank remarkably well.
Right. They are fourth on the Clean 15 list.
Yeah, meaning they require very few pesticides compared to other produce. And, their carbon footprint is tiny.
I know the report mentioned they were highly efficient to grow, like really efficient.
Oh, incredibly efficient. We are talking about a carbon footprint of just 0.11 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per pound.
Okay, let's unpack this because, this reminds me of an early hybrid car.
Oh, that's an interesting comparison. How so?
Well, the low emissions look fantastic on paper, right? But the physical reality of extracting the components, or in this case, getting the onions out of the dirt, comes with some intense hidden human costs.
Yeah, that is a very accurate way to look at it. Because onions have these relatively shallow root systems and delicate structures.
So you can't just run heavy machinery over them.
Exactly. Automated machinery would cause massive damage.
Yeah.
So they require just a staggering amount of hands-on manual labor to harvest.
Which brings us to the dark reality of that labor reliance. The sources highlighted a recent federal investigation in Georgia.
Right, Operation Blooming Onion.
Yes. And, just to be clear, we are simply reporting what the federal investigation found here. They uncovered a human trafficking ring where migrant workers were forced to dig onions by hand for just 20 cents a bucket.
It's awful. And when an industry relies that heavily on grueling manual labor, you inherently cap your production capability.
All right, you hit a wall.
Exactly. You simply cannot scale up a delicate, labor-intensive crop indefinitely without hitting that wall. Or, as that investigation showed, resorting to illegal exploitation to keep costs down.
So here's where it gets really interesting. If human labor is the ultimate bottleneck, how does a modern agricultural system bypass that?
Well, South Korea is the ultimate case study for this. They've completely optimized their land use and microclimates.
I saw the numbers on this, and they are wild. The global average yield for onions is around 2,400 kilograms per 10 acres, which is about a quarter of an acre.
Yeah, and South Korea pulls in nearly 8,000 kilograms in that exact same space.
Wait, really? They are producing more than 3 times the global average.
It's massive. And it really comes down to intensely managing specific microclimates and relying on highly specialized seeds.
The MDPI research highlights regions like Muon.
Yes. So Muon has slightly warmer winter temperatures, and the farmers leverage that to grow mid to late maturing onion varieties.
Oh, so those specific conditions are strictly required to produce onions with high flavonoids, which are, the chemical compounds that give onions their strong flavor.
And crucially, it allows them to survive in storage for months without rotting.
But hold on, let me push back a bit here. If they have mastered the microclimate and have the highest yields on Earth, I'm confused by another statistic in the research.
The import numbers.
Yeah, I saw they had to import a massive amount of onions recently, like over 113,000 tons in 2023. Why would the most efficient onion farmers on the planet need to import that much?
Because of seed dependency and, well, climate vulnerability.
What do you mean by seed dependency?
So despite those massive yields, South Korea doesn't own the blueprints to their own crop. They actually import up to 70% of their onion seeds.
70%? That's huge. Where from?
Mostly from Japan.
Yeah.
Because they desperately need those specific late maturing varieties we talked about.
Oh, wow. And I imagine tying your entire agricultural output to a highly specific winter temperature makes you incredibly vulnerable to the weather.
Exactly. If Moen experiences an unexpected cold wave or even just heavy rain, the domestic yield crashes.
Right. And the onions they do harvest become super susceptible to fungal pathogens like black mold while they're sitting in storage.
Yeah, and when domestic supply drops, local prices naturally skyrocket, so the government steps in using tariff rate quotas.
Which is basically temporarily rewriting trade rules, right? Like
Yeah.
flooding the local market with cheaper imported onions just to stabilize the price for consumers.
Exactly. Even the most mathematically productive farms on the planet are completely at the mercy of unpredictable weather and a reliance on foreign seed suppliers.
So, what does this all mean for you listening at home? The next time you are cooking, remember that the simple onion browning in your pan represents a very fragile balance.
Right, a balance of global trade, intense climate science, and heavy human labor.
It really changes how you look at dinner. But before we wrap up, consider this. An astonishing 20% of onions are thrown away before they even reach the grocery store shelves.
And that's simply because of aesthetic imperfections. They just don't look perfect.
Which leaves you with an uncomfortable question to ponder. Is your personal demand for a perfectly round, flawless onion quietly fueling this massive global chain of waste and labor strain?